Hey there. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Living Light, Dark to Dawn, Rock Solid, the place where you come to expand your thinking and elevate your way of being. How are you doing out there? YouTube podcast land. My name is Dawn Shale, certified life coach and soul healer. Here to elevate you, motivate you, inspire you, encourage you, lift you up the whole entire ball of wax like I used to do. Coming to you from Hunterdon County, New Jersey, as always. Beautiful sunny day it was here today. Absolutely gorgeous. I hope you are all doing well. I'm gonna wait a couple of minutes for a couple of people to come in and for some people to show up. It's an adjustment. This is episode number 2 here in YouTube, but definitely not number 2 in podcasting. I migrated over from Podbean, as you all, well, you two, a couple of people are here right now. As you know, it is a little bit of an adjustment, and I'm getting used to it. And it's just going to get better and better as the days and weeks go by. I have some little background music. Let me know if you can hear that. Let me know if there's any distractions. You guys here in the live studio, welcome. Dave and Kerry, how are you guys doing? You know what, I missed the sound effects. I don't have sound effects here. I used to have my sound effects. I love my sound effects. But that's okay. So this is going to be an awesome episode as always. The title is Freedom from Control. I know that sounds really simple and so forth, but the content is going to be way more extensive and interesting and hopefully educational and insightful and elevating and enlightening more than just the title. So roll with me in this. I received a couple of messages before going live. This will always be, until further notice, Tuesday nights, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is Eastern Standard Time, which is East. Oh, I am late. I apologize for being late. It is about 5 to 7 here, and like I said, it's a little bit of an adjustment getting used to this whole format. It's different, and so couple of shout outs. Margie Pargie, how are you doing, my girl? How's Margie? Is that shout out to her as well? And a couple of quick announcements. David Medansky, Breaking the Chains of Dieting, his current book, Stop Dieting, Start Thinning. And his mug is probably backwards on the screen, but I am thinning. This is straight from the helm of David Medansky. Um, Health coach, in his own words, he became a health coach. In his own words, he said, I was tired of being fat because diets didn't work. Diets fail you. You do not fail the diet. And he's an amazing father, man. He's being a whole ball of wax. He's the one that I spent time on his show, Jaded Health, in Dallas, Texas, the beginning of this month. And if you're looking for a good read, you're looking to be leaner, lighter, healthier, total health and wellness, and all that good stuff, do check him out, David Medansky, Stop Dieting, Start Thinning. And Jaded Health is his latest book that's going to be released very soon. I don't have a date for that, but that is the name of his television program, of which yours truly will be. I think I'm going to be the second or third episode when that launches. It's not launching until January. I wish it was now. I wish it was now, but it's not going to be until January, so we're going to have to just be patient and wait. It's going to be awesome. Do tune in to watch it. You will not be disappointed. So, that being said, let's get right on with this. Is part one. It's part one of Freedom from Control. Why am I talking about this? How did this all start? It began, more than 30 years ago. Um, I have a church history. I have a church history background, and that. Let me see. Can you pull the mic closer? No, I don't actually have the microphone here. It's straight on the computer. So can you not hear me? Carrie, can you hear me? I need some feedback as to who can hear me and who can't. I definitely have these from all the time with this technical difficulty stuff this episode. So Yeah, so let me know, whoever else is listening, if you can hear me. If not, I might just start this all over again if you have to do that. So, so it's choppy. Okay, so it's choppy. Can you see me okay? Can you see me okay? Nothing matters. Am I gonna have to start this over and try to get the microphone? It's better? Okay. I'm sitting closer to the computer, maybe that's what it is. Um, let's see here. Let me do this. Let me know if this helps. I'm going to turn this up. So, how's that? How is that? Did that work for volume? Let me know if that worked for volume. I appreciate you guys. We have the live chat. Hey, I got that part figured out. I got that part figured out with it's better. So I got the okay sign. Much better. Okay, so that's what I had. All right. So the reason being is I had some background music on my end just for me. So I turned that off. I had to mute that and turn the volume up. If I would have turned the volume all the way up like this, the music would have been blasting, and that's not good. I was going to try to have the music in the background for me while I'm talking, but so that's okay. So it's much better. Good. So now, so it's all a learning experience, and we just roll with the punches. We go with the flow here. That's what I'm all about. Um, if you guys if things get weird, just let me know. If it's the sound, the site, whatever, if it starts to get strange, please let me know. I would so much appreciate that. So moving right along, freedom from control. The talking points, I don't really have talking points. I used to do this in Podbean, as far as the talking points, because you couldn't see me. And so I'm just going to go with the flow here live with this stream, and so let's just get right into it. So years ago, I have, a spiritual religious background. I'm not no longer religious. This is not a religious show. This is definitely not a religious show. It's not even a spiritual show, but I do talk about spirituality because we are hearts and souls and spirits having a human experience. And it all matters, and everybody's in different phases of consciousness on their journey. Everybody's in different places and things, and whatever you believe, and that's fine. And I don't ever in this place try to convince anybody of anything or to believe different than me, or whatever lands with you does, whatever doesn't. But so just stressing that it's not a religious show, and there is some spirituality, because you're having a spiritual experience, whether you realize that or not, whether you're really conscious of that or not. And there's, like I said, everybody's in different places and spaces on their journey. So but this was years ago. I started out, it was like 1986, I think. And I'm not going to get into that whole entire story, but I started going to church because I was hurting, I was wounded, blah blah blah. And so in on that path to my awakening, so to speak, I'm going to fast forward along this journey of my own self getting healed and my own self dealing with my hurts, my wounds, my traumas, and things. That there was a lot, and it was deep. I discovered that I was an empath, or a highly sensitive person. They called it the prophetic in the church. And this was surrounding, my heart being and my being sensitive to humanity, and the energies and the different behaviors and the different personalities and the different these things. And that I ultimately wanted to help people. I wanted to guide people into their healing. I wanted to help guide people into their own higher consciousness, their own self-awareness, things like this. But I needed my own healing. And I needed to go through years and years of this to get reconnected to who I am, to understand who I am, to understand why I'm here, to get a grasp on what my purpose really is. And I tried many different things. I tried modeling and acting school in my early 20s, like what, every girl dreamt of that, right? And so I tried that in my early 20s. Ultimately, if I could have done anything that wasn't in this industry or line of work, it would have been, the music industry and singing and dance. Like I loved dance. I loved music and singing when I was a kid. And even into my young adulthood, I always loved that. But that obviously wasn't the path. It wasn't the path that I worked at and went for. And so, there's a reason for why you make choices along the way and why you don't. And I'm not going to say there's a reason for everything, because I don't believe that there's a reason. There's a reason for everything. Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes there's just not a reason for every single thing that happens. Um, it's just one of those things that one of those cliches that people say, that there's a reason for everything, and it offers a sort of sense of comfort. It offers a sense of, um, it kind of makes people feel better. It's a sort of a buffer, but sometimes there just isn't a reason for absolutely everything, and sometimes a lot of things that happen are crummy. So in any case, went through all of that, and then when I came to a point where I had to just take time for my own self in the tail, let's say the tail end of this healing journey and process, so to speak. And we don't ever arrive. So I don't want to come across that way either, that we arrive to a place where we no longer need fine tuning or deeper understanding. We're always going deeper and deeper and deeper, because that's what this is all about. It's all about the journey to love. It's all about shedding fear. And in a nutshell, that's what this is. Freedom from control has everything to do with shedding the effects of fear in our lives. And none of us have been exempt from fear. We were born into a codependent system. We were born into a conditioned society, conditioned system, codependent system, conditioned system. We are all born into this. So even if you had these loving, amazing parents in this, warm and fuzzy home that was completely functional and conscious, which I don't really know too many people that were raised into that, there is still a system out there that has dictated to how we think, how we feel about things, what we've actually chosen to do or didn't choose to do, who we marry, who we date, where we go to school, the careers that we've chosen. There's so much that is dictated to all of this. So towards the tail end of the real brunt, deep root core work that I was doing, the inner child stuff, and just the snots in the rug, as I call it, the constant, just going deeper into shedding layers of, abuses and the effects of abuse and the trauma that I encountered when I was growing up and so forth. I didn't want anything to do with teaching, talking, any of this. I wanted nothing to do with it. I left the church. I left participating in anything. I didn't want anything to do with teaching or healing I had to work on myself. And so when I came to the end of it, I really had to become clear as to what is it that I really want? What do I really want? What do I really want to do? Someone said many years ago, what angers you the most is what you're called to correct. And there is truth to this, because I'm not talking relationally. I'm talking about a problem that you would like to solve, something that bothers you in life. And it sounds, this is not, doesn't sound very spiritual, and it doesn't sound even very loving, but I actually learned this from a famous preacher in the church, because he was always teaching on leadership, and he was teaching on your purpose and how to figure out what your calling is, what your purpose is. And so what angers you the most is what you're called to correct. And so, it's, for instance, there are people that come up with all sorts of, like I'm sure that maybe Steve Jobs, before the first look at this, before the first smartphone and all of that, there was something that frustrates people. There's things that, it usually ideas. What is the word? This happens to me. Inventions are usually inspired by frustration. because the inventions are solving a problem. And how do you figure out how do you know that there's a problem unless you become frustrated and angry at something first? So I'm sure that it was frustrating that we're dealing with this phone with this wire connected to the wall. We want to see each other. We want to be more connected globally and in the world. And so it was brilliant that the smartphone came on the scene. What's another example? I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like maybe a baby carriage. Maybe just whatever. Just you know what I'm saying. You know where I'm going with this. So for me, right, what angered and frustrated me the most had to do with relationship, with relating between people, behavior. Not in a judgmental sense, and there's never any shame or judgment here. And I always make that clear that anything I ever say, there's never shame or judgment, attached to any of this. It's just always observation. It's always from a place of love and understanding. And so that's what frustrated me the most is that there was the drama and the arguing and especially in relationships that I had with anybody, that we couldn't sit down and talk and have a conversation. Why can't, if we have a disagreement, if we have an argument, or if we just have like a whatever, a moment of difference or just a disagreement, can we just talk about this? And I had something naturally within me. I just had a natural ability to be able to have a conversation. My parents didn't teach me this. It was just something inherent within me that I love to talk and communicate. And I just love conversation, especially healthy conversation. And so, in relationships with men, there would be arguments that would break out. And of course, a lot, most of the time it was, the man in his super masculine energy behaving, in a dominating way, in a controlling way. They would rise up in their bully energy and strong arm and all this stuff, and to try to shut me down. And I always stood up for myself. I'm a fighter. I'm a warrior. I'm the one that you go to war with, not against. And it doesn't mean that I myself am controlling. I do feel that when you are completely aligned within your own self, you have a right to speak up. You have a right to share your truth. You have a right to stand up for yourself. Other than this sappy, you just got to let everything go because love and everything's an illusion and all these things. And that's a whole other subject. But part of being aligned in love and having a good self relationship and self-love is being able to speak your truth, how you really feel, in a palatable way, and have these conversations with people when you do come, you encounter a disagreement or a confrontation or a breakdown somewhere. Breakdowns are always doorways to breakthroughs, always. And it's a matter of how aligned and how centered in each person in yourself are you to be able to have a conversation that isn't going to lead to the blame, the arguing and the fighting and all of that, and just being able to really listen to what the other person's perspective is, being able to listen to. And so all that being said, this brought me, in my own thought process, in my own just analyzation, my own discovery. And I've read tons of books. I'm not going to lie and say I haven't. I've read tons of books. I was always reading something to better myself, self-improvement, personal development. I've always been into personal development. And someone said to me actually this year, a couple of months ago, this management consultant, he said to me, you don't do personal development, you are personal development. And I've actually said that on my podcast. And it's not braggadocious. It's not about that. It's my heart is all about personal development. And that's the thing too, is that your heart and your inner self shows you what you're meant to do. It leaves clues. Life leaves clues, but also what is within you, the desires and the things that you are attracted to naturally surrounds your purpose. That's what your purpose is, connected to things that you are naturally attracted to. And so I was naturally attracted to and drawn to behavior, peace. Can we just like not blame back and forth, name call and all this stuff? Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about why this is really going on. Why is this happening? And let's deal with it. Let's just, if it's me, I'll take a look at myself and I'll fix it. If it's you, let's fix it. And it sounds so simple. The way I'm talking about this, doesn't it sound so simple? But where there's fear is a heart that's not clear to be able to do so. And therein lies the root cause of control, and then how control starts growing and spreading into every area, how it just starts expanding. Pardon me. Where there's fear, the heart's unclear. And depending on the level of fear, why am I covering my mouth? I'm just being polite. Depending on the level of fear and the amount of fear that's not cleared and healed out of someone's space, determines how open and willing they're going to be to having these healthy conversations, having these healthy relationships, having these, being willing to be honest with what's really going on. And so right now, in this space of massive contrast with all the upheaval and chaos in the world, people are scared. People are afraid more than ever. They're scared and they're being triggered and all, in many, many ways. Hey, Kathy, how are you? She is here. I miss my my cheers, my sound effects of being able to hit so I'll just clap that everybody's here. I wonder if there is sound effects here. I don't think there is. So it's an adjustment, people. I'm getting used to this place. So this is how I roll. This is how I was in Podbean. I'm not here to put on a show. I'm here to just talk as a podcast while you can watch. And yes, everybody give Kathy a round of applause. Kathy, give Dave and Carrie, give everybody a round of applause. Everybody gets a round of applause in the live studio here. So I just kind of sit. It's like having a conversation. That's how I've approached my podcast from its inception 2.5 years ago. And that's what I want to do here. I want this to be like a place where you come and hang out and you get a sense of who I am, and you can get a sense of the people in the live studio, and you can all get to know each other and talk and share while I'm talking. And that's how I want this to be. I want this to be a real sort of sit down, have a glass of wine, have a cup of coffee kind of place. So all that being said, and I do my best to talk about a very intense subject. So I throw some humor in there on purpose as well, because it's an intense topic. Control's no joke. When we get into witchcraft, the witchcraft side, and I will be getting intense about some things. I will get very serious about some stuff. Because as I was starting to say, in this moment of chaos and turmoil and all that, everything that's going on in the world, it is triggering people. Even in a subconscious way, it's getting into people's heads and psyche, because we went through the COVID stuff. That was scary. That was, created to scare people. And so now we've got all this war and all these things. And I'm not saying this in an incompassionate and non-compassionate way. I'm saying that it's freaking people out. And there are a lot of people that are scared of World War III. And this is what they're all talking about. They are all talking about, the talking heads, the media. I want to say this. I'm going to say this right now. I know someone who is in Tel Aviv that I have been associated with through the management consultant that I just mentioned a couple minutes ago, who said that you are personal. This came out of his mouth. And he said, you are personal development. And I just teared up. No one's ever said that to me. And it meant the world to hear someone. Well, why is that such a compliment? Because I've dedicated my life to this. This is my passion. I have dedicated my life to liberating humanity from all that ails their heart, soul, and spirit, and their purpose, and their joy, and their peace. And I am sold out to this. SOULED. Sold out. So what was I saying? So people are being triggered in many different ways. And so how does this work? And why? Well, it's fear driven. We know this. Most people know that control is fear based. A lot of people have a handle on basic psychology. They have a handle on what motivates control. Well, it's fear. And there's many different manifestations of control. Some of it's quite insidious. It's energetic. I see that part taking place in social media. I see that taking place in social media where, some people are trying to lure people over here to that, and I can feel it. How do you know that? I just do. I just do. I know this from experience, from being the empath, the highly sensitive person, and all these things. I just know. And my intention for social media has always been for connection. It's been for connection, it's been for networking, and it has also been for increasing business. And I've been honest with that from day one. Connected with all these people here in the live studio are from particularly Facebook. I've known Kerry probably 10 years. I think it's more. Kerry. He was on my podcast way back. Over for the first year, I think. Dave, I know from Facebook. He was also on my podcast. I know him quite a while now. I know. So, and Kathy and hello, Mr. David. The other David is here. I saw him. I don't know if he's still here. There he is. Yeah, it's good. Hey, hi, David. Yeah. Good evening. So freedom, power to the people. So, I am very energetically wired, and I understand intention. And empaths and highly, it's just not me. Highly sensitive people and empaths are very sensitive to motives, to picking up people's motives and intentions. And what intentions are is directly related to energy. So, if there's fear in the space, and it shows up in all these different areas, insecurity, jealousy, pride, competition, proving, just a whole load of things that whatever area of life you're not grounded in, that you are, you feel insecure in, that you feel unsafe, or you feel like you're ill at ease, or, you don't have a lot of peace in that area. Fear is taking up that space. There's fear somewhere taking up that space. There's anxiety taking up that space. There's something fear related that's taking up that space. And so what happens is instead of acting out of and behaving out of the love that should be taking up all of our space, wouldn't that be great if we were just all so filled with love to the brim, the hilt, that we didn't have any more fear, we didn't have any more, we would just live in one, live happily ever after. And there are a lot of people that are trying to create this, but they're creating it, believe it or not, out of a fear space, because they're bypassing all of their healing work, and they're creating this fantasy world over here and I'm all about multidimensionalism. I'm a multidimensional being. I understand it. I understand the supernatural experiences. I understand the synchronicities. I've been doing this for a lot of years. I understand it, but I'm very grounded and balanced. I'm a Libra, which Libra season ended on Sunday, by the way. But balance is 24/7, 365. We're always in a space of needing balance. We always need balance in our life. But so I know I just kind of threw that in there because, look, we are energetic beings. We are souls having a human experience. We came here to live out our soul contract and, live out the best, I believe, our best life possible, with peace, with joy, with love. And it's not just like a hippie, peace, joy, love, people. It's not just, it's way deeper than that. It's way deeper than this. And so we're shedding the fear. We're just moving deeper into love, deeper into alignment. So the multidimensional thing, it's just being connected to our heart-centered living, heart-based living is how we experience the higher dimension, the higher frequency. Love is the higher frequency. Love is the higher frequency. So it's inward. It's not this complex, complicated, super mystical, super cosmic thing that is this deep, dark secret that we have to just read a million books. It's inward. It's inward. It's stillness. It's being quiet. It's grounding, reflecting and going in, or being willing to feel. And, I talked about that a little bit on last Tuesday. It's all inward. It's all inward based. And so, but the people that don't want to necessarily feel, because when you allow yourself to feel and you allow yourself to go in there and deal with you have to deal with the fear. You have to deal with these wounds. Fear and wounds kind of work, they work together. They work together. And a lot of times what the fear will do is the fear will, like, I don't want to feel this. I'm afraid to feel this. And then the only reason that you're afraid to feel it is because you're gonna cry. You're gonna be sad for a little while. You're going to go through an emotional that emotional release. And guess what? That emotional release is energy in motion. That's how you're moving energy out of your field. That's how you're moving energy out of your energy field, your spirit, your soul. That's how you're doing this. You have to be willing to feel so you can move that energy out. So then you can connect to your heart, and then you can be the mystical and the cosmic, but in a grounded way, because you're not living in a fantasy world that you're concocting to escape the reality. It becomes your reality by being connected within. Then it becomes your actual reality, and that's the balance. That's the grounding. I'm talking constantly about grounding, constantly about balance, constantly about, and I think that, sometimes we're so up in the clouds and we're so up in, the unicorns and the rainbows and the woo-woo and the multi-higher dimension that we're not feeling. We have to come in to feel, to keep shedding the layers of fear. We have to keep doing this because the universe is moving and shifting. Time is moving by, time is passing. And so as time, so there's no such thing as time. This is what, I'm not going to go there right now. This present moment, we're in this present moment. But however, here's proof that there's time. You want to see the proof? I couldn't do this on my podcast before, but here's proof. Can you see that? Watch. Ready? If time wasn't real, and why is this happening? So our physical bodies are going through a transformation just as much as, like the song U2 that Bono said, I forget what's the name of the song, U2. Love and Peace or Else. I think it's called Love and Peace or Else. May you leave this place with a wrinkled face but a brand new heart. Leave this place with a wrinkled face but a brand new heart. So there is time. There is time. If there, I wish it was ageless, but hey, what are you going to do? So, fear and control. And so here's the thing. The more when you're afraid to feel, this is how this works. When you're afraid to feel, you are holding energy within your space, heart, body, field. You're holding energy there because you're afraid to feel. And so you're holding that there. And then what happens is you encounter a situation that with someone, male, female, doesn't matter. It could husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, boss, co-worker, friendship, sister, brother, family, whatever. You encounter a situation with someone, and then out of nowhere you're triggered, and you're triggered, and you get triggered in these areas. And where the person A, B, or C, 1, 2, 3, whoever they are, it didn't mean anything by anything that was said. You experienced it through that pocket of fear that you have not cleared, that energy that is still being harbored and held within your heart body. So you're interpreting stuff through this filter, through this fear that you are refusing to let go. And so this is why, we have trauma bonds, wound mates, enable buds. Enable buds can be friendships. Trauma bonds are more maybe the romantic. Codependent pals. I made that one up. Codependent pals. What's the other one? Enable buds, codependent pals, trauma bonds. And I know that there's another one. I'm not going to take credit. Jeff Brown coined the phrase trauma bond. I believe he's the one and he's an author. He's the one that coined that phrase. So, that is kind of like the introduction to how control works. And we're supposed to be relating to each other from this space of love, and that yet we understand that none of us are perfect. None of us have our complete, our act completely and totally together. Um, my strong suit is relating. My strong suit is communicating. My strong suit is if we have a disagreement, let's talk about why. Let's just discuss it. And when you feel threatened to have a conversation, or you're not able to talk, and you're reacting, the reaction is coming is like the trigger. It's like the reaction is coming out of this leftover fear, and so you're reacting, and it's a defense mechanism. It's a way to defend yourself. It's sort of a, you know it's a defense mechanism. I don't want to see this. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to go there. And so, a lot of people, and I've never been a fan of this. People will just shove things under the rug, throw it in the closet. They'll have an argument. They'll never talk about it again. And then I'll tell you what, that energy's still lingering when you put it in the closet, under the bed, whatever, under the rug, and you don't really discuss it. Because what the discussion is supposed to be, the conversation is supposed to be clearing that energy. It's supposed to be an opportunity to help each other clear, to help each other do their work. And if we're really helping each other do our work, then we're not going to be threatened. We're not going to feel superior. We're not going to feel like I have to strong arm, or, what's the word? Lord it over you, or just shut the other person down from their feelings. And I'm all about the feel. I'm all about I can't say that I'm enough. I'm all about teaching people how to feel, and how not to be afraid of their feelings, and how not to be afraid of their fear. I'm not afraid of people's fear. I understand that people, I mean, I've been doing this for decades, for a very long time. And so I understand that not everybody, years ago, I was blown away. Like, why can't you just talk? Why can't we just have a conversation? What are you freaking out over? Past stuff that had nothing to do with me. Past stuff that has nothing to do with someone else, or the other person, or whatever. And they're just, the situation is reminiscent of something they've already experienced with other people, of which that opportunity they didn't take to heal and clear it. So we buried it, and you either cut that person out of your life, you broke up, you got divorced, whatever it was. And so now here we are. Life is full of one opportunity after the next, and it keeps giving you a fresh new opportunity to feel, deal, and heal what you didn't before. The previous friendship, the previous job, the previous residence, the previous marriage, the previous boyfriend, the previous girlfriend, the previous situation. Life is good like that. The universe is faithful like that. God and universe is faithful like that, to give you another chance to feel and heal and clear stuff. Because the more we hold on to our fear, and I know people, in middle-aged people, upwards of 70 years old, that are still dealing with insecurities, dealing with jealousy, dealing with competition. They can't. When you feel bothered by someone else's presence for absolutely no reason, no good reason, when you feel bothered by someone, when you feel bothered by, especially in social media, when you don't even hear these people talk, you don't, unless they're doing videos or something like this, or a podcast, you really don't understand the totality of someone's personality. You don't understand the totality of their expression. And if someone, is just irking you to no end for no reason, that's not their problem. There's something going on within you that is being triggered or nudged to ask yourself, why does this person bother me so much? Like, what is this? Because here's the deal. If we're about love, if we're all about love, which is the multidimensional stuff and heart-centered living, right? So track with me on this. We're all about the multidimensional and the higher frequency. And whether we call it quantum, the cosmic, the mystic, the source, the God, the field, it all boils down to falls into the one big basket of love. It's all falls into the same bucket of love, all of it. Whatever way you choose to go, whatever pipeline, whatever floats your boat, and the vehicle that you choose to get to, It all boils down to love. At the end of the day, the beginning, middle, and end of the day, love should be the goal and the intention of which we're all relating from and relating through into each other. So if the higher dimension of frequency is the goal, right? And we could look at that and and feel warm and fuzzy about that and feel like this is what I want and this is how I'm going to be. And it's not about being nice. It's not just about being nice and in a good mood and feeling like, I'm just going to be nice today. Those little irritable things, those little irritable pockets, those little irksome things, and those, this one bothers you and that one bothers you. There's something going on within you that still needs healing or clearing. Because the higher quantum field and God and all that stuff I just mentioned, if that all falls into this bucket of love, you shouldn't be irked so much by someone's presence, by what someone is saying or how they express or what they are saying, writing a sentence and someone. And I've had people do this. They'll write something on a post that I made that might not seem to be like a mainstream comment. And what do I mean by this? Like, it might be something that is maybe it's something isn't, it might not have, they just might be coming from their frame of reference no matter what. And that's a big indication of being connected and heart aligned and fearless is understanding and not controlling, is understanding that everybody's in different phases of consciousness. Everybody's in different places of awareness. And so if someone comes to your social media space and they say this, that, or the other, your first response to what they're saying is about you, not them. So if someone comes to my page, and I've had this happen, I used to get annoyed. Like years ago, I've been on Facebook and like for one since 2008. So I used to delete comments. If someone said something that I didn't agree with, I used to delete it. And then there was this whole dynamic and conversation that surrounded that. If you're safe and secure in yourself, why do you need to delete someone's comments? Why not let someone express what they want? And then there was that whole argument for a while, or debate, I should say. Recent years, if someone says something off on a post of mine, okay, that's as they wish. And I've said this, like my particular space and the friends in the network that I'm connected to, which I'm highly blessed by and honored in. Whatever you say, you're going to say, you're going to say, and I'll most of the time say, as you wish. Okay, as you wish. If I don't agree with you, I'm not going to argue. And I'm going to say, as you wish. There are certain things that do bother me. And someone said a few weeks ago that, and this person had friend requested me. They said, the soul is the ego. No, this couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth. The soul is not the ego. No, don't take my word for it. That makes me think of the movie Tommy Boy every single time. There's so much teaching out there from Wayne Dyer, Lynn Twist. What's his name? He's like the soul guru. He's been talking about soul. Gary Zukov. Is that how you say his last name? The Seat of the Soul is one of his books. He's been talking about soul. I have a sense of my soul. We have our ego is fear-based. It's fear-driven. The ego functions through the mind that is swirling, and all the thoughts come traipsing through all day long. Some are mostly, and it's all, I've talked about this a lot, that our mind and our thoughts are navigated by our heart. What we really believe in our heart's going to show up in our head. And the mind is a tool and it's used to carry out the plans and all of that. And so, but ego for the most part, and it's definitely useful in our life. I'm not demonizing ego completely, but it's most definitely fear driven. It's most definitely fear driven. Our soul is not fear driven. Our soul is the essence of who we are. It contains our purpose. It's the very essence of our being and why we're here. And, I believe that our healing takes place in our heart and our soul. I think our spirit, this is just my opinion. This is my feeling on this, but I definitely completely and totally disagree with soul being the ego. Absolutely. Look, Wayne Dyer, did I mention him? Um, so Adyashanti, Deepak Chopra, Michael Bernard Beckwith. Michael Bernard Beckwith came up with consciousness back in the 80s. Back in the 80s, he was teaching on this stuff. When I graduated high school in 1984, I didn't know what the heck all that meant. And he was teaching this stuff back then. I mean, we're talking about the the veterans of consciousness, the veterans of soul, who I've learned from. We've all listened to at one point or another that, have a really good handle on what all this stuff is. So some things like that trigger me, because the reason being is because it's misleading. It's misleading. It's confusing to people. I think it's just in a nutshell, that's my answer. But so back to fear and control. I was saying about social media. And so I will state things as I feel that they are, and not in an argumentative way. There's no drama taking place in my space on any of these platforms. But if someone, so if someone there's just a gracious, kinder way to understand where people are, and you're not as wrought up or disturbed by where people are in their phase of consciousness. And so when you feel you need to retaliate, you need to take action, you need to be smart, you need to be I don't mean smart, I mean like smart ass is what I mean. If you feel like you need to respond like this and put someone in their place, this is coming from a space of feeling threatened, that you feel threatened. When you know who you are and you're connected aligned in your loving space, that insecurity, feeling threatened, it will diminish. It diminishes more and more. That when you have a disagreement with someone and they're speaking through their place of perception, their phase of perception that doesn't agree with where you're coming from and how they feel they're experiencing you, is inaccurate, because that wasn't your intention and that isn't what you meant. And that's usually how these arguments are, is that things are being said on both sides where intentions are misunderstood. And that's usually what it is your intention is misunderstood, or someone is saying something that doesn't accurately describe who you are. And so this is where the fire starts. The fire usually starts here, because you feel like your character is being assassinated or attacked. You feel attacked in your character and attack. And so this is also a tactic of the ego. This is how the ego functions. It goes way deeper than, and it's fear driven. And this is how the ego functions, because when you know who you are and right, you can just calmly say, hey, I think you're a little off base. I think you have some things that are, oh my goodness. Guess what I got to go do? I got to go get my power cord, or my computer's going to die. I'll be right back. Here I come. I'm coming. Here we are. Hi. Here we are. I'll tell you what. When I said it was an adjustment, it really is. You get used to something, right? So let's use that as an example. Let's use this. You like my flowers? This is butterfly. This is violet, and this is ivy. My plants. Well, 3 of them. I have plants in the room over there. The other room. So, and which, by the way, I didn't even plan this. My ancestors have my back, because Ivy and Violet were sisters. My grandmother was Violet, and her My grandma was violet, her sister was ivy, so I just happened to end up with an ivy and violet plant. So I think that's pretty interesting. And I'm living on ancestry soil. So a little trivia, little fun trivia. Wow, that was close. I almost got knocked out. Okay, so what was I saying? Let's continue. So I was saying, oh my gosh, let's read some comments. You have to transmute your ego to love. Yes. Well, we have to transmute our emotions and our feelings and the debris that's coming up. So we're always going to have an ego. And I know that there's a famous teacher on ego that he told someone, she asked him, did you lose your ego? He said, yes. He said, well, I don't know, maybe, you have to show me if it shows up again. It was kind of silly. We're never gonna totally lose our ego, but it's the emotions and the emotional debris and the emotional material and the old energy that's coming up that we have to transmute and release and not allow the ego to get a hold of it. So it's like, that's where I feel the battle is between, our loving higher self heart consciousness versus our ego. And the two of those, depending on how much wounding and trauma and old energy is still in existence, that's wherein the battle lies in that, in that place. And so I know what I was saying. So what I was saying was, it's usually where someone feels, insulted or offended in their character, and they feel like they have to defend themselves and stuff like this. And, it's no fun. It is no fun when someone is attacking you like that. It's not fun. But again, the deeper you go in your own awareness and higher self and love and all of this, the less you will feel, attacked and offended. And, I've experienced people in life where they felt attacked, and it's like, it can absolutely blow you away when you're having a conversation and you're sharing something and you're sharing, like, here's what's going on. And, people feel attacked just by you sharing your perspective of the situation that is currently happening. And this used to happen a lot particularly in the romantic space, the romantic relationship, where, and a lot of times, and somehow I just figured this out, but somehow along the lines, I acquired this. I don't know how, because again, my parents did not teach me or educate me in this one at all. And so there's two things happening in a conversation or in a disagreement or in a conflict. Two things are happening: the subject that caused the conflict and how it's being handled. Those two things. The subject is always validated because something has happened and you need to discuss it to clear it. How you handle it determines the fear and control that's going to manifest, the fear or love, the fear, control / or love that is going to take over in that moment. And so what I would tend to do is while something legitimately did happen, whether they made a mistake, I made a mistake, how it's being handled, because raised voice, screaming and yelling, reacting, name calling, getting into a blame space of you, and this, and this kind of these bullets and arrows that are just being shot, that doesn't ever resolve anything. It just puts the other person, the other party, on a defensive more and more. So I would always be the one, a lot of times be the one to say, can we handle this differently? I understand what you're saying, but let's handle this in a more productive, unifying, love restoring way. Let's handle it like that. And so many times people would say, oh, nobody's perfect. We can't be perfect in this. No, that's the biggest cop out that controlling people will use. They will say, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. It has nothing to do with perfection. It has absolutely nothing to do with perfection. It has everything to do with intention. It has everything to do with how much fear you're allowing to take over right now, how much old debris and emotional material is coming up that you perhaps need to clear. That's really what's going on, whether it's a friendship, a marriage, or a romantic situation. that's usually the crux of this is happening. There's been a disagreement because energies are conflicting, intentions are conflicting, misunderstanding has happened. And so now here we are. So how are we going to deal with this? Are we going to blame, shift, and dodge? Are we going to throw it under the rug, shove it in the closet, have a couple of days of science, and then come back and pretend like it's gone? It's gone, and it's not gone because the energy's still there. The thoughts and the stuff is still in the background. And then guess what happens? Another situation happens, and now we're going to drag this out from under the rug. We're going to bring that all. You did this last time. No, doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I'm not talking about something ideal. I'm talking about something that is absolutely possible to keep the air clear, to keep your energy field clear, to keep the lines of communication clear, to keep everything clear so that you can stay in that higher frequency, stay in that higher dimension, that cosmic mystical space. You have all kinds of stuff flying all over the place all the time, and unresolved debris and material and energy, it's going to keep coming back around until you finally heal it and deal with it. And it's just how this works. So I have to let me just look at something. I have to look at a note that I made, and I want to see this because I'm not finished here. So, well, I said here that wounds are attached, to what drives fear. Yes. I used to have talking points in Podbean. I do not have talking points here. So I have a couple of talking points in another place. So I guess that's what I have to say about that. This particular episode was the introduction, was part 1. I think what I'm going to get into, I want to continue this part 2, because I want to talk about highly sensitive people, empaths, seers, mystics, and how your intuition and your super high sensitivity comes into play where this is concerned, because a lot of times you can sense something coming, or you can feel energy, and you can sense and see things before it actually happens. I know what I wanted to share. I want to share a story. About, so this has to do, then this person actually, this is kind of funny. I'm going to share this story real quick. It's, we're 57 minutes in. It's not that, I usually used to go like an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes in a podcast. So I won't say this person's name. I don't want to say this person's name, but so I was going through the private messages and stuff, and I was clearing some stuff out, and you know how people will just seep into your inbox somehow. And so, in the message requests, I have my thing set where you can't just write to me. It comes in a message request if we're not Facebook friends. And so this person from the way past sent me a message, and I was like, wow, that was pretty nervy. This person physically assaulted me back in 2003 or 4. The marriage I was in, I was married for 6.5 years. I've told that story a little bit. We're still friends to this day. David's a dear friend of mine, always will be. We have nothing but total respect for each other. We never had children. And so the marriage was ending, and I had gotten involved with this guy. And this was before smartphones, and we had the internet, but we didn't have smartphones and all that. And we didn't have social media. So I met this guy. He lived, far away. And, I was very naive. I had just, I don't want to go to church anymore. I don't want to deal with this. I was confused. I was wounded. As I said, I had a serious healing journey to do. I didn't leave the church officially until 2008. So this goes back to 3 and 4. So, this is what we do. We grasp onto other human beings when we're not healed. We grasp onto the energies and people that they have that are good, that we want within ourselves, or we either are looking to other people for healing. We're looking to other people for a sense of self. We're looking to other people for a sense of, all these things. And that's where attachment comes in. And that's a whole other podcast. And so this guy, I was dating and seeing, and I very much admired his strength. I admired how he was very, very strong in his masculine energy. This was way before I knew about divine masculine and divine feminine. I didn't know what the heck that was. And he was very strong in his masculine energy. He was like a take care of business. And that's what I love. And any woman here, well, it's just me and Kathy in the live studio. But women know, like, especially like I'm an alpha female type A woman. So, according to what they say on paper, and that doesn't mean that I'm not highly spiritually wired because I said that, there's a balance, of course. But so, alpha males are a turn on. Men that take care of business, men that get stuff done, that are handy, they fix things, they come up with solutions and all that stuff. That is sexy to a woman. That is a turn on. And so that's what attracted me to he was a take charge kind of guy. He was an alpha male. I was like, wow, this is really cool. And I don't remember how old I was. It doesn't matter. But so narcissistic, very narcissistic, all about himself. Alpha males, unevolved alpha males usually are the same. And anybody. And I mean, I don't want to say anybody. Let me rephrase that. Narcissists are a special breed. They are definitely, it's all about them. They're self-centered. Something is really, really took place early in childhood. There was something really going on where there was a tremendous amount of neglect and wounding that caused someone to be so narcissistic. I've kind of gotten away a little bit from calling people narcissists or labeling anyone, but you have to describe things. We've all been narcissistic in one way or another, where it's just all self. I'm not talking about self-love because there's a space and place. I'm talking here about self-love and being aligned with your higher self. Different from self-absorbed and self-centered. There's a difference between self-love and connected to your higher self versus self-centered and self-absorbed. And this guy was completely and totally self-absorbed. All about him. And usually the take charge alphas, whether it's male or female, can come off as controlling because they see the vision, they see the bigger picture, they know how to get things done, they want to get things done, and they come across controlling. And so there's a book somewhere, it's not over there. Florence Littauer, Personality Plus. It's a really good book, The 4 Personality Types. So Kathy said I'm alpha. Oh, no kidding. I don't have a laugh track anymore. So yes, my queen. So anyway, this guy was very narcissistic, and here I am, an unhealed alpha. It was a wounding situation of the highest degree. But so this particular individual did not know how to have a conversation. Was very verbally abusive, name calling. And it ended in a physical. He literally picked me up and threw me out the door. And it was in December and there was snow on the ground. Picked me up and threw me out the door. Physically picked me up and threw me out the door. And wow, because I wanted to have a conversation. I wanted to talk about this. And it was like, no, this is how it's going to be. Shut up, be quiet. Like, it was bad. Like, I understand abuse. I understand what it's like to be abused, not just from, and so why did I put up with this? Why did I tolerate this? I needed healing. That's where I needed healing. Because anytime you put up with this behavior, anytime you tolerate this kind of disrespect, and you think that they're going to change, and you think that they're going to shift, and you think that they're going to get it, they're going to see you, they're going to understand you. So long story short, I left. It was the first weekend of December. I remember we got a Christmas tree, mine. So I drove home with the Christmas tree and I left. And I literally felt detached from my body in that situation. I'd never been physically assaulted by anybody. And I literally felt detached and I was a mess. And so the next morning I woke up and that's how I felt. And so I called that township's police department. The police officer knew this person's name. He was actually on my side. took very compassionate, very caring. And he said, do you want to come up here? I said, I can't drive up there. So it's a very long story, but so suffice to say, it was ugly. I could have had this person was a hunter and they had firearms, and I don't think they had crossbows. I think they just had a load of guns. They had a huge gun collection as a hunter. So I filed a restraining order, and if this thing would have went through, they would have lost their, if the judge would have issued a permanent restraining order, he would have lost his guns for life. No more shooting ever. So what did I do as an empath and naive and ignorant back then? I forgave the situation and I let it go. I didn't press charges because I felt like, are you really going to take this power away from this guy? And I should have. To this day, I wish I would have done that. So I understand narcissism. I understand abuse, and I understand the massive, what it's like to be in a controlling situation where I was controlled. That was the last straw of that particular association, I want to say, because it wasn't a relationship. It wasn't even a connection. It was an association at best. And I put up with that for 4 years, not the physical abuse, but the association. I wasted 4 years of my life with this, like the on and off garbage. And looking back, it's like, you can't, you learn, you heal, you grow. But looking back, it's like, wow, 4 years. And this was another lifetime ago. I have the mental memory, but there's nothing that's emotionally, there anymore with this. So that was my crash course in narcissism. That was my crash course in that level of abuse and what it was. And I remember I bought a book. It was entitled Men Who Can't Love. That was the name of the book. And what happened was I reached out to the author of this book to tell her how much I appreciated the book. And I actually had not talked about this, and I forgot about this whole entire story. She interviewed me for her next book, and I forgot about this. I really did until this very moment. I totally forgot about this. And I forgot, I don't have the book. I borrowed it from a friend. I no longer have it. I mean, this was a lifetime dimension timeline ago. So somehow we had email exchange. We got on the phone, and she interviewed me for her next book. I think I had that book packed away in a box somewhere. I don't even remember He's Scared, She's Scared. He's Scared, She's Scared. I think that's the title of the book. And this is low level. I hate to say it, but I didn't mention her name. But so this is like low, kind of like typical psychology of relationships where men or women are scared. I don't subscribe to any of this stuff anymore. I believe in divine union and the free. Anyway, so not believing, but that's the energy that I'm in now. Is that kind of a soul connection? So she interviewed me for her book, and I told the story, and that it's in her book. My story is in her book. It was horrible. So it's interesting that the timing of all this, because I looked in my message request yesterday. I hardly go there. And there's like all these guys from other countries. Please marry me. I couldn't help but notice your profile. You look so nice. And would you please friend request me? I've tried many times and all this stuff. Anyway, this guy had the audacity out of nowhere to send me a message. And he just said, hola, HOLA, like hello. Well, I blocked him immediately. Like, wow. If that isn't a blast from the past, what nerve, the nerve of this person. So then I went to the gym before this, and sure enough, it was back day, it was back night. So I was on the back machine and getting ready to tie it up and get home to prepare for this. And sure enough, there was a guy working out next to me that had this person's name on his shirt. It's like, okay, so guess what? I'm going to tell this story. And so I wanted to share this story. And so I remember back then so much, before that physical altercation took place. I remember back then so much feeling this need and this lonely, this sort of aching of wanting this guy to see me, to understand me, to approve of me, to accept me, to love me, all of these things. And it was all a manifestation or a result of not being connected and aligned with myself, not knowing who I am, not under after church. Now, this was after church life. I was still going to church, but it wasn't like I wasn't any longer involved. I was no longer involved in the ministry and all that stuff. So that goes to show you that there was not a heck of a lot of healing that actually took place while I was involved in the church. So it was the marriage was a sham. That's a whole other story. But so now it's an hour and 10 minutes. So I wanted to share this because I wanted it's a testimony to the work that I've done, to understanding what it takes to really face the fears and the insecurities and all these things. And it didn't happen all at once. It happened in bits and pieces and chunks of phases, layers. It doesn't happen all at once. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes dedication. It takes the willingness to feel and understand. And so what did I have to do to clear this? What did I have to do to become the woman I am now? What did I have to do to become, confident and not insecure anymore? And as fearless as I can be in this moment. What did I have to do? I had to feel it. I had to be willing to go in and look at the different pockets and nooks and crannies and corners of how did this happen? What brought me to this place? What is going on within me? And what people tend to do is they'll blame everybody on the outside. I have someone I know, it's always, toxic people will do this. The wrong people will do that. The this, the that, the this, the outward, the over there, and them. And it's never, what I have realized is, the more I love myself, the more self-love I connect with, the more heart aligned and connected I become within myself, the more I attract people that love themselves the same and love me the same. We love each other the same. Because it's just not about them. I mean, it is to a certain extent. You don't want to tolerate and put up with disrespect. You don't want that. And even no matter, I don't care how ascended you are, how conscious you are, how self-aware you are, there's always going to be moments of overwhelm. There's always going to be, we're human. We're always going to experience maybe a moment of stress or something that upset us, or maybe someone's going to say something that hurt for a minute, but it's not going to hurt like it did a long time ago. It's not going to fester. It's not going to last. You're not going to you're not going to loop round and round. That's what the ego does. The ego loops around and around and around, and it keeps spinning, looking for resolution. And that's the meme that is connected to this whole thing. The thing that I said today was passive aggressive, hot, cold, controlling behavior is pain and fear looking for resolution. Surrender to love, heart on, is the only liberating solution. And it really is. That's the only solution. No matter what, everybody has different things that they believe and different nuance. There's nuance to everything. There's inner workings to all different sorts of things. And everybody's soul and heart journey is completely different. Nobody's the same. There isn't a one size fits all Band-Aid and one answer for every person. Everybody has a different mind and a different, you've heard me say this. They've come from different geographical locations, different families, different nationalities, different cities, different states, different countries, different, upbringings. Maybe it's a single parent. Maybe your father raised you. Maybe your mom raised you. Maybe your parents raised you and they fought like cats and dogs like mine did. Everybody has had a different influence that formed and fashioned and shaped their reality that contains fear on some level that we are shedding. And, detaching from as we move deeper into this space of love. So I'm going to stop there. I think it's an hour and 14 minutes in, and you guys have been great. And so let me see here. Well, Kathy was laughing at something, and Dave Scott with I know what that was about. Yeah, that was not, I don't know if I ever told that story before, but so there it was. And Yeah, so I mean, I love life. I love what I do. I love working with people. Do subscribe to my channel, by the way. I forgot to say that in the beginning. Please subscribe. I would love if you did. And we're going to do part 2. This is part 1 of this topic. I want to stress that. I said it earlier. This is part 1. We're going to do part 2. And I don't know if it's going to be this Thursday or next Tuesday. You're going to have to tune in to find out. And in the meantime, I love you all. Thank you for being here. Subscribe, share this video, spread the word, let people know who I am. My name is Dawn Shale. You can find me at www.dawnshale.com. You can learn more there about how I coach and counsel clients. This is just here on YouTube. It's also posted in Facebook and Instagram, and it's not really shared in the other platforms as it used to be. And if you are watching this on the replay, or you know anybody that could use some healing, some guidance in this, reach out to me. That's what I'm here for, because there's only so much that I can do in a podcast. But I would love to get to know you better through a one-on-one phone call, an intuitive call, which is, it's complimentary. So let people know about that. And, go to the website, as I mentioned, and, all my information's there of how you can reach out and text me and call, or, whatever. And I'm usually swift to respond to you. And so, thank you for being here. I love you guys. And, what else? Do share this, spread the word, let people know who I am. If you feel this would benefit anybody, sharing is caring, and I appreciate that. And, I'm here to help and inspire and all that good stuff. So that being said, have a great rest of your week. If I'm here Thursday, great. If not, have a great weekend that's going to be coming. I may be back Thursday, but anyway, so take care. I love you guys, and talk at you soon. Part 2 coming. Peace.